Iran condemns the assassination of one of its diplomats by a terrorist group in Damascus. In Bolivia, authorities registered 14 people killed amid heavy rains affecting over 200 communities. And in Russia, the government says Ukraine's attack on the city of Kazan will be met with proper retaliation. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Israeli occupation forces killed at least 32 civilians in the Gaza Strip after committing 4 new massacres against Palestinian families in the last 24 hours. Health authorities report that the Israeli attacks also left about 54 wounded. They also warned that both figures could increase, since several of the victims are trapped under the rubble and others are scattered on the roads of the bombed areas. In this context, authorities denounced that the Zionist regime continues to prevent the entry of emergency services to these areas. Since October 7, 2023, Israel has killed at least 45,259 Palestinians, mostly women and children. In the Gaza Strip, tourism sector has suffered heavy losses since the start of the Israeli aggression against the enclave on October 7, 2023. The Palestinian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities denounced that all tourism facilities as well as stores in the coastal enclave had to close due to severe structural damage caused by persistent Israeli bombardment. According to the ministry, 264 of the territory's 314 archaeological sites have been totally or partially destroyed, as well as 4,992 tourist, recreation and arts facilities. The ministry notes the conflict has left 15,265 tourism workers unemployed and that it has caused great economic losses to the Palestinian nation. In the United States, people took to the streets in rejection of the continuation of Israel's genocidal war against Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. Demonstrators gathered near the busiest shopping centers in New York City, taking advantage of the influx of people due to the Christmas season to draw attention and to raise awareness on the current crisis in the Gaza Strip due to the Israeli war. Demonstrators raised banners in favor of the Palestinian cause, demanding an end to the Israeli genocide, which already accounts for 45,000 civilian deaths, and denouncing U.S. military support for the Tel Aviv regime. The Iranian government condemned the assassination of one of its diplomats by a terrorist group in the city of Damascus in Syria. Iran's foreign ministry spokesman Ismail Baghai said the attack occurred this past Saturday when armed groups opened fire on the vehicle of Ambassador Sayyid Dawood Beitaraf. Iran has demanded the new Syrian administration to shoulder its responsibility to investigate and punish those responsible for this terrorist act. Iran's foreign ministry spokesman further stressed that security of personnel in diplomatic facilities is crucial for the restoration of the mission in Damascus. And in other news, in Nigeria, over 30 people were killed from a human stampede during 2 Christmas charity events. Authorities said the first such incident took place in the city of Okija in the southern Anambra state, where at least 26 people were reported dead, including 4 children. The second incident took place in the city of Abuja, capital of Nigeria, where another 10 people died. Such incidents are frequent in Nigeria due to lack of security deployed for mass events, so people are urging the authorities to implement adequate security measures for such events. We now have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In the United States, the transition team for President-elect Donald Trump has confirmed that on Inauguration Day, the U.S. will withdraw from the World Health Organization. According to experts, the United States is the largest donor to this United Nations agency, contributing 16% of its funding for 2022-2023. Therefore, should this happen, it would seriously damage the agency's capacity to respond to health emergencies in the world. Specialists also warned that the organization would have to downsize its scientific staff substantially, which would negatively impact its work. During his previous term, President Trump initiated the withdrawal of the United States from the World Health Organization in 2020 in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, accusing the agency of being controlled by China, actions that were reversed by President Joe Biden the following year. And the Mexican government announced the construction of 25 migrant shelters on the United States border. The Interior Ministry said that the objective of the shelters is to address humanitarian challenges and provide assistance to migrants. Each of the centers is equipped to guarantee good conditions for at least 2,500 people. Additionally, the agency highlighted that the Mexican government is working jointly to address the migratory issue from a humanitarian law perspective. And the Piura municipality in the northeastern Peru reported that the Las Capullanas beach has been affected by an oil spill that negatively impacts the biodiversity of the area. Residents reported that several species, including crabs and octopus, are covered with oil and called on the company responsible to take immediate action to contain the pollution. In this respect, Mayor Ricardo Bancayan recalled that nature is the greatest wealth of the area and that this type of act cannot go unpunished. Bancayan also expressed his solidarity with fishermen and families that depend on these waters. The Environmental Evaluation and Control Agency is monitoring the area. In Bolivia, at least 14 people have died due to rains affecting over 200 communities. According to Civil Defense Vice Minister Juan Carlos Calvimontes, overflown rivers affected more than 40 municipalities. He also said that the heavy rains have caused landslides and flash flooding, affecting many families. Meanwhile, the National Meteorological and Hydrological Service has issued an orange alert in at least 8 departments for possible thunderstorms and overflowing rivers. In Chile, the National Disasters Prevention and Response System has issued a red alert for the Los Alamos commune due to wildfires that have already burned through close to 300 hectares. Prevention system officials say that the fires represent a threat for the populations living in the surroundings of the affected areas. They also warned that, according to an inquiry, the fire is believed to have been arson. Regional Disaster Prevention System authorities also issue a yellow alert for the Valparaiso region due to various active wildfires. And in Indonesia, more than 300 people were evacuated in at least 3 districts of Makassar due to flooding from heavy rains. The Operations Command Center said water levels reached 80 centimeters due to persistent rains. In view of the situation, authorities set up disaster response centers in 2 sub-districts to assist the victims and to monitor the situation. Weather authorities call on the public to remain alert to the situation and take precautions as the rains are expected to continue. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. The advances on the front line of the Russian armed forces do not stop. The course of the Russian army in this special military operation is imminent and obvious, but above all, unstoppable.
In recent weeks, and at a faster pace this year, Russian armed forces have advanced along the entire front line, seizing control of settlements and towns with little resistance from the Ukrainian army. Kyiv is taking steps to increase the size of its army, including the forced mobilization of citizens and lowering the age of military service in an effort to respond to the Russian advance, all with no result other than loss of life.
Todo sin más resultado que pérdidas de vidas humanas. Today I posted a video on my Telegram channel where relatives complain that 75% of the military personnel are missing. They are people whose bodies for some reason have not been presented, but also officially there is talk of dead, and there are many. There are also many wounded who are left without legs and arms, and there are minor injuries. But 75% missing, this is huge losses.
The West is pressuring Kyiv to fight to the last Ukrainian. But despite substantial financial support, Ukrainian troops with foreign military have suffered heavy losses, estimated at around 1 million dead and wounded Ukrainians and mercenaries, as well as a significant amount of military hardware.
Despite the enormous help from the West, the initiative on the line of contact is in our hands, and the Russian troops are conducting an offensive along the entire front. This year, more than 190 villages have been liberated, and about 4.5 thousand square kilometers of territory have been brought under control.
Even the Western media, which tends to question Russian reports, have acknowledged the advance of Russian troops in the region and can no longer disguise the disastrous situation on the Ukrainian front.
Our commander gave us the order to round up all Ukrainian-speaking civilians and not to touch them, to let them go. But we were to shoot those who spoke Russian. This was his specific order. It was the order, and there were no other options. Only this way. No, they would shoot us, but the treatment is terribly cruel. We were beaten with sticks even for holding the machine gun wrong, or if you refuse to kill someone.
As Russian troops advance, Ukrainian troops retreat, leaving destruction and death in their wake. More and more cases of massacres and brutalities committed against civilians are uncovered. Kyiv is using only terrorist methods, which once again justifies and explains the need for Russia's special military operation against this regime that does not represent the Ukrainian people.
The Russian government says Ukraine's attack on the city of Kazan will be met with proper retaliation. During a ceremony to inaugurate airport facilities, Russian President Vladimir Putin sent a message to Ukrainian authorities saying that the attack perpetrated by the forces of the Kyiv regime against Russian territory will not go unanswered. Putin said his government will continue to work on repairing damage caused by the attacks, as well as on the construction of roads and housing to ensure the well-being of the Russian people. Putin said that whoever tries to destroy anything within Russian territory will be faced with much greater destruction, which will make them regret even more what they are trying to do against Russia.
Whomever wants to, and however much they may try to destroy in Russia, they will be met with far greater destruction and they will further regret what they're trying to do.
On Sunday, Russia's air defense systems shot down 42 Ukrainian drones southwest of the country. According to a statement issued by the Russian Defense Ministry, some 20 drones were shot down in the Oriol region, 8 in the Rostov-on-Don region, 5 in Kursk, 1 in Kuban, and as many in the Bryansk region. The Russian Defense Ministry described these fixed-wing drone attacks by Ukraine as terrorist actions. The Russian Defense Ministry said that the special military operation Ukraine launched in February 2022 continues with the same goal of protecting the population from genocide by the Kyiv regime. And on Sunday, tens of thousands protested in Serbia's capital Belgrade to demand that leaders take responsibility for the collapse of a train station roof that killed 15 people last month. For over 7 weeks, the Serbian government has been under pressure from nationwide demonstrations following the death in the northern city of Novi Sad, with many protesters accusing authorities of corruption and inadequate oversight. Sunday's protest started with 15 minutes of silence as tribute to the 15 victims in the incident. The demonstration occupied Slavija Square, a key roundabout snarling traffic in the city center. According to the Ministry of Interior statement, up to 29,000 people attended the protest.
I would like to say that we are here to pay tribute to the victims of Novi Sad, and I'm here because enough is enough. We've all taken to the streets, because what's going on in this country really doesn't make sense anymore. I was a student until recently, and I work across the street, so I've come to support the students, the teachers, the actors, and all the citizens of Serbia.
At this moment, supporting these young people is the most important thing so that we older people can learn from their example and do all we can to make them feel that someone is with them, and to bring back normality and a sense of shame to this country.
Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Kobachidze has warned that the incumbent president would be violating the law if he were to call for a new election. The Georgian premier said that such a conduct would put all those who share government responsibilities with her at risk. So he expressed his confidence that President Salome Zurabishvili will show common sense in her decisions, so he expects her to respect the results of the last parliamentary and presidential elections. Kobachidze also described the demand for new elections as absurd. And in Turkey, at least 4 people lost their lives after an ambulance helicopter crashed into a hospital in the southwest. Local media reported that the accident occurred after the aircraft took off in dense fog next to the Training and Research Hospital in the city of Mukla. The 4 people killed were on board the helicopter, 2 of whom were health workers. Authorities added that no one was injured in or around the building. We now have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.